This week, TDS finally released the long-awaited PvP update, having been in the works for more than 5 years at this point. But was it worth the wait? This video will go over 4 main problems with TDS PvP and how it can be improved in the future. Starting with the bugs. From silly bugs to absolutely game-breaking bugs, at this point, it's typical for a TDS update to release with a million bugs. What fathoms me, however, is how preventable the amount of bugs were, or at least not to the degree we ended up getting. For whatever reason, the developers thought it would be a good idea to announce a release date for PvP an entire month in advance. The only reason you would do this from a business standpoint is if you were extremely confident in being able to meet the expectations unnecessarily placed on yourselves. This is a really bad thing if it doesn't go well, because most players, especially newer or casual ones, aren't going to want to play a broken update, so they leave after a few minutes of playing. Usually bugs are counteracted by fixing them in the following weeks, of course, but by that point these players have mostly already left. I made a poll recently asking if you'd rather have PvP released as it did, or have it delayed by 2 or more weeks, and 90% of the community voted the latter option. I feel like due to TDS's infamous history with delays, the developers are very cautious to delay an update, but this whole dilemma would have been avoided if a release date wasn't announced so early. It's not just the bugs too. Many aspects of PvP are left unrefined, such as the balancing rewards, etc., which we'll get to. So let's talk about these other aspects. There's not much of an incentive to play PvP unless you're a veteran player with nothing to do. The rewards are pretty poor. Like it takes you maybe 18 minutes of using your brain to beat the opponent, and you only get 350 coins. And there are lobby rewards for like ranking up, but they're also really mid too, and you don't even get the battle pass currency, which is what everyone is trying to grind for right now due to FOMO. The big reward of PvP is the champion accelerator skin, which is the only truly desirable reward from PvP, but it's extremely tedious to get. You need 1000 PvP wins. 1000. This is because it's based on a new elo system for ranked PvP, which has so many problems. Champion Accelerator isn't supposed to take 1000 PvP wins, but because elo is based on win percentage, losing just one game makes it take over 1000 PvP wins. Lose more than one game and the task becomes even greater. That's just how percentages mathematically works. So why is elo based on win ratio? It makes absolutely no sense, and I've never seen an elo based game ever do this, because it's a horrible idea. TDS should just use a standard elo system, such as the one used in chess or Pokemon Showdown, and display accumulated or lost elo per game. There's really no reason not to, but doesn't end there. There are many bugs involved with TDS's current elo system. You can somehow lose elo for winning games and gain elo for losing games. It's a complete mess. My other 2 issues with PvP is the UI and balancing. For the UI, it's mostly the fault of bugs making things look out of scale, but I also think it's just inconvenient to work with. In the loadout selection, why is my loadout displayed twice? Why does the loadout selection even come before the map selection? Because that defeats the entire purpose of a tower ban system. I also really wish you could view the enemy sending screen without it replacing my tower loadout, but these are mostly small nitpicks. The balancing, on the other hand, has been putting the community in a wildfire. The developers decided to rebalance most towers to fit PvP, meaning 10 plus towers had to get rebalanced. I'm personally not a fan of towers having 2 different stats in the game at the same time, but since it got rid of progressive balancing, I'm fine with it. Nevertheless, there was clearly not enough time to rebalance both enemy sends and 10 plus tower rebalances. On top of that, early, mid, and high rank enemies were different and had to get rebalanced individually as well, and with a release date prematurely announced, there was no time to rebalance everything properly, test all that. Sends like Necromancer are still overpowered and force extreme AoE. Towers such as Paintballer and Shotgunner are overtuned. Balancing is something that the developers, they must continue to prioritize and improvise on moving forward. They can't just leave PvP in its current state. Like, the next few updates have to have balance changes. Furthermore, I would like to go on a side tangent. I really dislike the whole sending enemies for eco aspect of PvP. Don't get me wrong, sending enemies in general is a good feature, but it should be used as an offensive tool with eco as a side bonus rather than the main thing being eco. The current system promotes spamming enemies for eco, which bloats enemy counts, and further incentivizing AoE, which is already really busted. This system works in a game such as Bloons tower defense battles too, because in that game every tower has some form of pierce, but not every tower in TDS has pierce. So these are my first impressions on TDS PvP. This video focused on the problems with PvP and what to fix, but that's not to say TDS PvP is all horrible. Honestly, if they made like a public beta test like right before releasing this, would have been probably a lot of these issues would have probably been fixed, or like at least known. So what do you guys think? Comment down below and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.